Hello, trying something new today. Just going over my impressions so far with Iron Saga, a Chinese-developed mecha-themed free-to-play mobile game, also known as a mecha waifu game with some husbandos thrown into the mix. Before going any further, I can confirm that this contains a lot of features typically associated with mobile games. There's a gacha machine that rotates out every week, it's the primary source of new mecha, and there's also a stamina gauge that refills over time. Stages typically require 5 stamina and 1 is recovered every 6 minutes. But there's also content that doesn't require stamina. If these features are no-go, then this isn't the game for you. But if you look beyond this, stick around and find out what drew me in. I've been a fan of mecha ever since the first episode of Gundam Wing I watched on Tsunami 20 years ago, so I was pleasantly surprised when I heard about Iron Saga's English release. I'd actually found Iron Saga much earlier through Twitter during a Japanese promotional event that flooded my feed with ads. The combination of colorful characters and cool giant robots intrigued me, and I even tried to look up some gameplay videos. But I wasn't able to make heads or tails of what was happening in those videos, so interest faded just as quickly as it was caught. 4 months later, it appears out of nowhere with an English release. I gave it a shot, and bam! I'm waking up at 5 AM on weekdays to get an extra hour in every morning before work. I've been constantly playing for the last 5 months now. Do I play too much? Definitely. Do I still enjoy the game? Surprisingly so. So, what's playing Iron Saga like? The video that's been playing is just my ongoing attempts to grind for collaboration shards, but that doesn't really say much about the majority of player engagement. It should be apparent from the video that fights are mostly automated with a few opportunities for player interaction. So you can guide the mecha to a specific location, or you can activate a skill when it's ready. While that's kind of exciting at times, it isn't really what caught my interest, no. What kept my attention is the absurd level of detail in team building, the unique tasks, and the enormous variety of mecha. On the most basic level, you have a pilot, mecha, and parts. The pilot determines the base 4 stats, 3 passive skills, and 1 active skill. The mecha determines the armor, movement speed, and weapons available, and parts augment performance. There are a few other aspects, but these are the basics. Select 4 pilots, and mecha, and you have a complete team. For me, that was enough. I'd spend hours just on team customization. Examining each mecha to learn their unique abilities and loadouts, examining each pod to determine which mecha and pods they generate the greatest synergy with, examining each part to determine which mecha would benefit the most. Then, you could just build whatever team you want. Make a standard team with heavy-hitting mecha in the front and melee and bombardment in the back, or maybe some ninjas which create clones that self-destruct upon destruction, or maybe a team that has mecha with super modes where they have last stand whenever they reach 0 HP. A good amount of fun can just be had from testing various teams against your friends. Things get even more complicated during the end game when co-pods get unlocked and skills can be shared. So that's enough about team building. What about the game itself? As I mentioned earlier, combat is essentially automated. There's some control over movement, primary target, and when to use skills, but ranked matches are completely automatic. While I find it convenient, I get why some people would be turned off if they're looking for a more action-y game. There is a Dynasty Warriors-like mode where you fight wave after wave of an enemy, but difficulty is kind of limited since it's either very hard or very easy depending on the mecha you're using. I find the automatic nature of the fights to be pretty convenient since I can just complete daily quests in the background. Story mode is split into chapters, and each chapter has a map of randomized nodes, having drops and random events unique to each chapter. Fixed chapter nodes can be completed, increasing difficulties for one-time rewards, but nodes can be repeated also for rare drops. Rare drops are also available through random events that aren't guaranteed to appear during map generation, so the chapter can be reset at the end of each run for a fresh set of random events. An informant node is also available on each map to confirm which random events are present on the current map. During early gameplay, build your initial team by gathering mecha, pilots in the campaign, and also earning levels. When you have a sufficiently strong team, complete hard difficulties, collect each chapter's star chests. Like I'm doing in this video, you can also repeat chapters to grind for mecha shards. Low tier mecha only costs 10 shards, and upper tier mecha costs around 30 shards, while special mecha costs 100. A thing to take note of is that special mecha require duplicates to upgrade beyond level 5, while low tier mecha and special tier mecha do not. Completion of this chapter will also unlock access to Associated Challenge stage, providing a daily opportunity to obtain rare purple drops. So, I've only described the mechanical elements of the story mode so far, and here's why. I have unfortunately skipped all plot elements related to the game, even though there is a neat feature to let you rewatch story beats after completing chapters in a supercut. I've started playing with the initial English launch. After getting a couple of levels, you'll eventually gain access to Arena mode for PvP content. Regardless of how well you do, completing the daily matches will earn you points for the Arena shop. Points can be exchanged for rare items such as exclusive mecha and pets, standard mecha and parts via exchange vouchers, and also affection items for pods and resources for upgrading. Some items refresh every day, but others are a limited resource. But PvP is a good chance to get certain items. I recommend against taking Arena too seriously until you invest a significant amount of time into the game, since the upper ranks are dominated by pods with max levels and affection, and also mecha that have been fully upgraded with rare parts. Something I do enjoy is watching the evolution of the PvP meta through both moving up the arena brackets and also seeing when new mecha are released. At this time, there's still highly competitive mecha that can be farmed for free, so spending money doesn't necessitate getting a winning team. Even then, good pilot, part, and team synergy are major factors for victory. Having a top tier pilot doesn't really mean much when you lack the mecha that can fully exploit their skills. Like, take Slowkai, the mascot character of the game. She has high stats for ranged and has an active skill that fires her weapon mecha's main armament like a shotgun, but her passive skills encourage aggressiveness. Rather than ranged mecha, her passive skills and her high melee stat suggest that the most effective build would be something with a melee weapon but also a main armament. This significantly narrows down the list of available mecha since most melee units don't have a main armament. While Slowkai can still be effective in a ranged unit with powerful main armament, it's not really taking full advantage of her abilities. There are also a couple of extra modes and minigames, best described as Salty Bet, Flappy Bird, Bumper Cars, Crane Game, Combat Uno, and Team Drafting. They're just side activities for additional resources, but I enjoy Guessing Arena and Brawl the most out of these. Guessing Arena is Salty Bet, and so you have mecha on both teams and you wager on which team you think will win. And you'll greatly benefit from just visualizing, recognizing each mecha, and memorizing their performance. Brawl is about team drafting, and you're presented with a random set of pilots, mecha, parts, and pets. There's no guarantee that you'll get anything that's compatible, but it's neat to discover new synergy through it. The card game, Battle Uno, is by far my least favorite. You receive a completely randomized deck every match, and the game revolves around determining what's in your opponent's hand and just counter-playing against it. Although the rewards for competition are fairly good, it's just playing a gauntlet of matches which is really exhausting. Considering the potential length of a single match, receiving nothing is pretty vexing. Flappy Bird and Crane Game are pretty self-explanatory, but Bumper Cars, which is actually racing, is an interesting romp where you just choose one of your vehicle type mecha and just go to an obstacle course as fast as possible against one ghost player. The rewards for that are actually pretty good for raising pilot affection, but it's not the easiest thing to play. So I've been putting this off, but I can't really avoid it. And that's how monetization works. And it's a major part of most mobile free-to-play games. I'm not gonna sugarcoat it, but the cash to premium currency exchange is dismal. There are quite a few ways of spending premium currency, and so I'll just focus on the gacha. First, there's a single roll which costs 220 gems, and you can do a 10 set for 2,000 gems. The banner mecha has a single daily roll for 99 cents. The standard premium packages range from 99 cents for 60 gems to 99.99 for 6,840, but the amount you receive is doubled for first purchase that you make for each tier. Based on these, a 10 set gacha roll has an approximate value of around $30 US. For every premium roll you make, there's also a secondary currency of Super Alloy Z which you earn. One roll for one Super Alloy. And this can be exchanged for mecha, parts, pets, and consumables. To put some additional context to this, banner mecha are all up a tier and require at least 5 copies to fully upgrade. So unless you're very lucky, it'll mean you have to spend at least $30 a week when a banner is active in order to max out a new mecha. There are also monthly bundles, which supplement login rewards. For $8 a month, you'll be able to get 3,000 gems. But periodically, there will also be sales for 10 set gacha vouchers, 1 for $14.99 and 5 for $74.99. Daily gems can also be earned on a daily basis through your cumulative arena score, starting at 5 gems and capping out at 75 gems a day. Based on all this, and how banner gacha swap out each week, you can potentially spend a lot of money just trying to stay current with the latest mech. As I previously mentioned, I'm only focusing on gacha right now. Gems are actually used in many other aspects of the game, so this is just a tip. There is a free gacha that you can spend friend points on, and that's earned regularly by just summoning your friends in battle, but banner mecha are typically excluded from this one stops table. Unwanted mecha can also be exchanged for super alloy, which in turn can just be used in the black market for mecha shards, and that includes banner mecha, and other rare ones. And that's about it. That's Iron Saga in very broad terms. You regularly play story mode in order to gain experience in shards, compete with other players in arena, and also obtain optional banner units with the latest gacha. Now, there are still many other features, such as recruiting pilots, raising their faction, leveling your clan, but these are all just side items for the most part. Despite the typical mobile monetization scheme, I've had and continue to have great fun just playing Iron Saga. For anyone who is interested in at least taking a look, I highly recommend playing at a leisurely pace. This will circumvent most monetary concerns. Since upper tier mecha are endgame material, just expect to collect shards over the course of a few weeks. The same can be said for leveling pilots, maxing out their faction, and also upgrading parts. Approach this as a free game to spend your spare time on, since stamina recharges at a slow rate and the shop resets on a timer. If you enjoy the game enough to stick with it, I highly recommend only spending money on the monthly benefits. Approach this as a game to only spend your spare time on, since stamina recharges slowly and the shops reset on a timer. If you enjoy the game enough to stick with it, I highly recommend only spending money on monthly bundles or sales, since the exchange value is the highest for these. The only other comparable purchase is the daily banner roll for $1. This should be more than enough to purchase skins for your favorite pilots, expand your inventory, and rolling for 1 or 2 banner mecha. There's no real need to max them out unless you get super invested. This will be enough to keep things fresh, so you don't really need to focus on that full upgrade. There are also a lot of other neat features in Iron Saga that are worth checking out. There's the Mechapedia, which fully lists every pilot, mecha, part, and pet, and you can find details on their backstory there. There's also the music which is playing in the background. It's fairly good for a mobile game, and there's quite a few different tracks too. Each individual mecha has its own either custom track or a theme track based on which corporation they belong to. Time for a tangent. So, I attribute a lot of the affinity I have with this game to nostalgia. Years ago, I quite played a bit of a game called Mobile Suit Gundam MSVS for Bandai's WonderSwan. In hindsight, it was barely of a game, since you mainly just set a few initial conditions and watch things play out. That's pretty much Iron Saga. You recruit a test pilot, send them to do various simulation battles between 0079 and 0083 in the Universal Century timeline, and that's about it. You have a limited selection of grunt mobile suits. Initially, you only have a limited selection of grunt mobile suits, but progressing through missions and upgrading specific suits will unlock more. There's also some limited customization with tuning the mobile suits and selecting the equipment, but it mainly comes down to suit performance and pilot affinity. Your pilot's initial abilities depend on their background, so choosing a mechanic or a mobile suit veteran will have quite different results, but skill and MS affinity will increase with each fight. Combat interaction is limited to just setting the distance that you want them to focus on and which target they're aiming at. The only source of uncertainty is when the pilot will sometimes ignore your request to change combat distance. As a Gundam fan, it was just really neat to be able to recreate certain moments from TV shows and creating your own pilot. And the presentation for this game was also pretty novel at the time. However, the number of mobile suits was pretty limited compared to the current catalog of Mobile Suit Variation designs. The campaign's only 15 stages. There are also 3 bonus stages related to starters' memories, but the game encourages you to just keep either replaying the campaign mode or going into versus mode for your pod to learn skills and fight against friends through the link cable. Now, even with these limited content, I enjoyed the game enough to get a pod to learn every skill, become a new type, and also max out all his abilities and infinity with every mecha type. So, I saw a glimpse of this, of MSVS, in Iron Saga, and it was pretty much wish fulfillment for the sequel that never was. And that's pretty much all the thoughts I have on Iron Saga, plus a little bit of Gundam. If you enjoy mecha, give it a shot. It's free, just take it slow. Don't take anything money related too seriously, and just find what you like and mix and match. Thanks for listening, and if there's anything that you'd like a specific video on, or any other questions that you want answered, just leave a comment on the video. Bye.